Hey, hey. All right. Welcome to Glam and Grind with Rach and Jules. However, Rach is not with me today. So it's Jules and Brooke. So
Hey,
I have a super exciting guest to introduce you to today, Brooke Ceballos-Pinero. She is one of my really good friends. We invest together, we partner together. She's helped me on some triple nets. We're going to get into all awesome stuff that she does. But first, let's say hi to Brooke. Hi, Brooke. How are you?
hey, y'all. How are you guys doing? So grateful to be here. It's truly an honor. I'm so happy with the growth I've seen Julie do over the years. So big kudos to you. Such an honor.
It's been so fun to have Brooke, alongside us, and then me now alongside her. It seems like we're kind of just going back and forth with some reciprocation on investments and all kinds of things we'll talk to you about. But Brooke is a power woman. I'm going to give you a little bit of a bio just so we have a solid understanding of where Brooke is coming from. I had the opportunity about 2 weeks ago to break some bread and have some dinner with her and Tommy Jones and our friend Cecilia and all of our kids. It was like a million of us in Fort Worth in a very interesting environment, but we made it through. So Brooke is a passive investor, or what we call an LP, a limited partner, in 676 units. She's a sponsor in 481 units. That's a GP, a general sponsor, or I guess you call it a GP. We can get into that in a little bit. She's done one startup business. She's done one triple net with us. She did the TLE investment with us in Southlake, Texas. She was a GP on that deal with us. She's using her 22 years in corporate America, which I also want to talk to you about, Brooke. She loves team sports. She has a team sport background. She's not competitive at all.
Yeah, right.
Yes, so she's definitely a high D, like us. And then she's done numerous paid masterminds. We've actually been in quite a few of them together to scale her investment portfolio and educate others. She has a coaching program as well. So she has some mentees that are under her. But what she really loves, and what I love her for, is that she works especially with women and minorities and how to do the same, teaching them how to invest, teaching them about generational trauma and wealth, and getting out of the circle of, generational money thinking. So I really love that, because if you've read my book, or if you've done anything with me, I'm very much about that. I was first generation Canadian, and we talk about that a lot, about how our family's history and my Italian roots have really played a role in who I am today. She's the co-founder of the Real Women in Real Estate, called Rewire book project. So she's got a lot of high achieving women in this book, and they all talk about their stories. And mainly, I think all of them are immigrants, or the majority are immigrants. So the stories are quite incredible, and I just love reading about their success and the success of y'all. And she is the CEO of Empower Capital. So that is her GP position. So her general partnership in deals. She's the creator of Multifamily Momentum, which is her mentorship. And she's a co-founder of Crack the Wealth Code, which is a mentorship she shares with Shirley Bays, one of our friends. And I'll let her talk a little bit about what she's doing now, but she's even going to do some more exciting stuff with the flipping. And so we just partnered with her this last week on some of that. So welcome, Brooke. I mean, obviously a wealth of knowledge. I don't even know where to start with you, because there's so much we can talk about. But let's start off with mentorship. And so
Yes.
tell me a little bit about what type of mentorships you've had, what's been the best sort of return on your time and your money in mentorship, and how. Let's start with that first, and then we'll keep going, because there's so much around.
Of course. So my mentorship journey began as a paid mentorship with Grant Cardone, right? He's kind of the rite of passage. And Grant is phenomenal. And I believe you're even a 10X coach for him, right? Or you're part of that ecosystem.
Yes.
And as much as I love Grant and he gave me that confidence, because in corporate, I come from 22 years sales, marketing, and negotiation. So for me, real estate is an avenue of that. It's just a different product. And he's very high level, and he's an excellent cheerleader to get you to acquire it, to raise the capital, and that's phenomenal. However, I was missing, okay, well, what happens now I'm in due diligence. Now I'm having to implement this business plan and the PPMs, and now I'm closing in. And all of the, because the work, y'all, really starts after the acquisition. Okay. I know the capital raising and acquisition gets all the glory, but that is not all that's entailed. So then after being in the real estate club for a while, I then went with Michael Blanc after reading his Financial Freedom and Real Estate, the famous yellow book, and fell in love with his ecosystem because they really give you the day-to-day minutia that I was missing from Grant's ecosystem. And so, and then I also did YouTube Dealmaker, events for him, and it really grew my network and my expansion of from start to finish to start of acquisition to exit. And then after I did that and became more confident in my ability to execute and my knowledge, I was like, you know what? I want to be now around other people that are really, really heavy into this. And that's when I joined the Brad Sumrock multifamily, or the Millionaire Multifamily Mastermind. And the people there were absolutely phenomenal. And I mean, as a mentor, I already felt really comfortable where I was at. So I wouldn't say I learned a lot of new things, but I did from the people around me. I have some of the best relationships with these people, and that was the best part. And then you kind of start to get addicted to the people and the conversations and what everybody is doing. So then I also started going in with, Vina Jetty, who is to me the female version of Grant Cardone, who has $1 billion of acquisitions and exit acquisitions of $1 billion under real estate. Beautiful, phenomenal woman who also did 2 of the forewords for our Rewire, and she's wrapping up this month for the Real Women in Real Estate book project. And most recently, because y'all, like people like God, break, you spend so much money on mentorships. Yeah, because there's no, shortcuts in business other than a mentorship. You're getting real live experience from people that have actually lived it, not people who exited Yale and here, this is what I learned, and let me teach you, because everybody thinks they're an expert. Stop. And we're going to get into that later on how we choose mentors. Okay. So Tommy Jones, Wealth Through Real Estate, huge shout out to Mr. Tommy Jones, who I met a couple of years or so ago. I was a guest speaker on his stage, Invest Like a Girl. And he has a phenomenal flipping community where he gives back mostly to Black and Brown communities, because as we know history, they could not get a house for so long, right? So he now and myself, we go into communities that are, losing their homes, or they're in pre-foreclosure, or maybe they're in a tax situation, and we are working our butts off to get them to stay in their homes. And some of them, depending on the situation, we flip them, we'll sell them, they can rent them back from us. The possibilities are endless. We'll do a sub 2, and so that is a very high level of the paid mentorships that I am currently a part of.
That's awesome. So I have a question just in kind of talking through what we've been through. And I've been trying to put some names up here for the folks who are listening that are interested in different types of mentorships. But would you say the actual mentor was game-changing, or the community, or both?
For me, Grant Cardone himself was game-changing. I learned a lot of lessons in that. Brad Sumrock, it was the community, the most phenomenal community I've ever been with. Tommy Jones, it was both, and Vina Jetty, it was both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. So with me, Grant, Elena, the family, the 10X rule, the 10X thinking has changed our life. Like, we already were thinking that way, and it just solidified bigger growth for us. Like, now it's like, think bigger, right? So I think Grant, I do personal mentorships with him one-on-one. And so I also go to events and things of that nature with the 10X family. But people ask me, well, like, what's the biggest thing you learned from Grant? And I said, honestly, it's the mindset for me. It was the mindset. Like, I was thinking too small. My goals, my targets were too small. And now that they're bigger, maybe I haven't reached them all, but they're definitely something that continues to keep me doing the next level stuff. So, I might have thought, well, this amount of money was my target. Well, now it's like 10X that, I'm like, okay, so I'm totally thinking too small. And then when you reach it, it's like, oh, you feel like you can relax. Well, that's why I want something that I have to continue to like reach for, rather than just kind of hang out in this like comfortable space. We talk a lot about, pushing ourselves to be uncomfortable, to get comfortable, where I think a lot of people just stay in the comfort zone, and that level of thinking really limits you, With Brad Sumrock, same thing. The community is there was some great people I met through that program. And then I would say Tommy Jones, I just met, with you a little while ago, and I really love what he's doing for his community. And we're happy to, help sponsor some of those flips as well. And we'll talk about that later. But I do really feel that the mentor is important. For me, choosing a mentor that is where I want to be or has done what I want to do is super important. And I'm sure you'll elaborate on this when we ask you how you choose a mentor. And I also think the community has to be kept what I call a tight and right circle. And so the community, I like to keep people that are around me, that are purposeful, that are driven, that are not distractions. And we can talk a little bit about that too. But I find as I'm getting more tight and right, best way to say it, I am limiting a lot of distractions. Like if it's not going to help me get to where I'm getting, then I just need to move forward. And it's okay to let go of stuff. A lot of us feel compelled to keep friendships, to keep relationships, to keep business opportunities. But you have to think about it as every time that you have an opportunity, you have to weigh it on a return on life, not just a return on investment, because is it keeping you from a bigger opportunity in the future? And so every time I do something, I'm like, if I do this deal, am I going to be giving up something better? And is it worth it? And so a lot of times I think we just think in the moment about the opportunity and embrace what's coming at us. We don't know what's coming next, but I think we have to be more critical about what we're putting our minds and hearts into and really saying, like, is this making me move towards the goal that I need to be at or want to be in? And every opportunity is also a disopportunity for something else. So if I'm going to put a lot of hard work into building a new business and then I can buy a business that's already cash flowing, which we'll talk about, is it worth for me to put the time in to build this new business that might take 3 to 5 years? Or do I purchase a business or an idea that's already proven? And if I do my own business, how much time will that take from me looking for opportunities that might be easier, better, et cetera? So just delineating the opportunity and ensuring we're making the right decision, not just for the moment, right? And so same with mentorships. I think both of those things I would see just an add-on, I think, from what you've already said. So yeah.
110%. And I love that you said that people who are not comfortable with getting uncomfortable. Listen, Julie hit the nail on the head there. So let me put it in perspective for you. So I left corporate, a comfy 6-figure corporate job after 22 years just last October. My anniversary is coming up 10/6, October 6th of this year. On top
Already
of that,
crazy,
right?
Went by so fast.
Oh, I'm ready to celebrate. Like, hey, it's a 1-year anniversary. Break the chains, the golden handcuffs. I'm free.
Yeah. No, I mean, what an amazing leap that you took, though, Brooke. Right? Like that's a huge leap of faith. Yeah.
And then after that, and then 6 months later, I packed up my family from Northern California, sold my house, and moved to North Dallas. So we're now here in North Dallas.
So courageous. So courageous.
Which I'm so grateful that my husband and my kids trust me. And you need to be comfortable with getting uncomfortable. And when people are kind of like, oh, I don't know, this, move. You got it. And I'm gonna go back onto your mentorship that you talked about. How I choose my mentors and how you want to choose your mentor. Listen to podcasts. Most people who are mentors put themselves out there. Listen to their podcasts, listen to their YouTube channels, go on their social media, listen to them on virtual. Do they have your vibe? Is their delivery, is it landing with you? And then next is you want to make sure that they show receipts. Go with your gut. Some mentors, I feel like they think they're an expert, but they don't show receipts. Who can I speak to that you've helped? Right. And I'll follow my gut. And if I feel like they just want my money, but they're not truly here to lead with value, with a servant mentality, well, then I'm going to keep it moving because everybody thinks they're an expert. So always consider the source, check the receipts. What mentees do you have that I can actually speak with to show your success? Right. And then networking. are there opportunities to network and to level up? And this is one thing that I learned from Grant that I love, and I keep this in my mind every day, is you're one conversation, one person, one event away from changing your life forever. And he drops so many bombs. And so I love that.
Every minute.
Yeah. And I even have it where he signed this gold thing is from Grant, Brooke, be great. Grant Cardone, when I got to go to his office and he was mentoring me. And lastly, feedback. Grant was phenomenal with providing feedback.
Honest feedback.
Honest feedback.
Raw feedback.
Yes,
I love it.
And that's how I thrived. So I knew when I pitched a deal, I better come correct. But yes, again, to reiterate, read their books, their podcasts, listen to their YouTube channels, go onto their content, check out their delivery. I wouldn't have somebody mentoring me that isn't really putting themselves out there as a voice in the space. I need somebody to put themselves out there, show receipts, who can I speak with, networking opportunities, because I want to be with balcony people, not basement people, okay? Sorry, cold hard facts. Feedback. I want somebody who is not my friend. You're here to make me better. I have friends. I need someone to make me better. So those are huge.
I love all of that. So I'm going to try to put some of this up there. So raw feedback is something that you're telling them like, hey, you've got to have raw feedback. Been where you want to go.
Correct.
Right. And I'm trying to type this in so that we can post it here too. Been where you I know. Been where you want to go. Yeah, because when you're because some people will just listen to it, but visual learners like me, I get a really I'm a whole thing about like how I learn and how other people learn, and I want to be cognizant. Audio learners, they can hear it once and be done. I'm visual. I need to see it for it to be ingrained and for me to remember it. And so I'm trying to be cognizant too of like, if we have people that watch it, that they have these ingrained sort of memories that even if it goes in your subconscious, it's there and you can pull it, sometime later. I also wanted to talk about this. I'm going to just post it here. Currency. So Grant always talks about currency. And what I love about Grant and Elena is, and my friend Megs, they have taught me to evaluate words I don't understand. And they say, when you truly don't understand the meaning of a word, you actually don't learn anything else. And so even though I thought I knew what currency meant, what entrepreneurship meant, when you break down the words and actually look at the meanings in the dictionary, like I'm always pulling stuff up now. I never found myself doing that. So they say like when you're learning something and you're getting tired or you feel like you're just like, I don't know, not interested. They said, stop and go through and really think about, is there a word there that you don't really understand the meaning of? Or is there a concept that you don't understand the meaning of? And I've never done that before. So I started doing this about a year ago, and Brooke, I'll tell you the change in my thinking and my ability to stay engaged, because I have a problem staying engaged with stuff sometimes. Yeah. So that's why I try to share it, because Megan started sharing kind of that with me. And then I noticed every conference, if you go to Grant and Elena's conferences, they have an incredible communication style. And they do learn a lot of communication from courses they take, which is specific to what they're learning in their lives. I've now really taken on that same mentorship style for myself and said, okay, if I feel like I'm getting tired or disinterested, what is it? What concept did I not understand, or what am I not getting here? So one of the things I realized, they started talking about currency in one of the events I went to, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll just and then I just kind of got disinterested, and I thought, no, Julie, look up currency. What does that mean? Get back interested in this. And what are you really missing? Well, currency means flow or like movement. And so of course, Grant talks about currency being I think I spelled it wrong. I'll have to edit it. It's supposed to, I was like, shoot, I was trying to go too fast. It's about the current, right? So the current that the money flows through. And I was like, oh my God, Julie, money should always be moving. So when you said like action is needed, money doesn't stay static. Money is meant to be in a flowing circle. It should go from me to whatever I'm buying to the next person. So money should always be moving, and the money flows through a current. So then once I started to see it as currency, I was like, yes, like you're right. Action is needed all the time in life, not just for money to flow, but for our lives to continue to flow. I know it sounds like kind of weird that I'm talking about this, but once you really understand the root of the word and the explanation and the concept, I was like, now I'm very interested in the flow of money and how it flows and how it's paper, but what it does, right? And how we realize what money
Energy.
really is. It's energy, right? Everything.
Energy. You're exchanging energy. And that's why when you do money affirmations, I
Right.
am abundant. All the money I
Yeah.
need is coming to me now. I have
Yes.
all the money I need. There's power
Yes.
in words, and same with
And
money. It is a current. It is
one
energy.
1000%. And I was going to say, Brooke, that's now in my morning gratitude. Like I do the miracle morning. I think we've shared that here before.
Yes.
But I always say, I am full of abundance. Money flows to me easily and without effort. All the things that we say in the morning, people are like, are you crazy? But what you say happens. If you continue to focus on the negative or the stoppage of the currency, even in your mind, it definitely plays a part. People are going to think I'm woohoo here, but I'm just telling you, try it. Just try it for a week. I'm telling you.
It gets your mind right. It gets your mental where it needs to be at, because especially with you or my upbringing, where like we grew up on the church
Scarcity
and government funding, and we were homeless at one point. You're kind of like, you're taught that wealthy people are bad, or they did things they shouldn't have
and
done.
Money is evil, and you're never going to have any, or you're going to always miss out.
Right. No. And what I've learned is when you put money back out there, it comes back to you. And so you have to constantly tell you this, because it goes against societal norms. So it is mental. You need to fix your mental before you do anything, really.
1000%. And like I say, and like my book says, and like I say on every single podcast I probably have been on, generosity breeds abundance. 1000%. What you put out comes back to you. I'm not Buddhist, but I truly believe in this karma vision of giving as much as you can, and you will be abundant just because of that. And I know people don't believe that, and they keep their money tight and they're scarce, and they think about, I can't let it go. If you do that, you'll never have more. I promise you that. So anyways, we're not going to go on a hoo-ha thing about this, but I did want to bring it up because I think people don't realize even mindset plays a huge part. You can have the best mentor in the world. If you don't take action, if you can't think right, if you can't get your head right, you can pay hundreds of thousands of dollars, but you'll be stuck. And getting unstuck means taking these things and unblocking yourself. NLP, do whatever you can. I don't care, whatever you want to do, but you have to unblock negativity around you, distractions, thoughts, all the things that we were taught. Sometimes the generational trauma, we talked about that with Tommy, right? I mean, it's just very natural for ourselves to just go there because it's comfortable.
Correct.
And
you touched on something that was one of my goals today, and you talked about it is mental, and I want to talk about what makes a good mentee.
Yes.
Because one, you need to be coachable, and I think every mentor I've had and conversations I've had with you, and what I express to my mentees, it starts in your mind. Okay, you have to be out of your feelings, and you need to listen, and you don't know everything. And if you think you know everything, you're not growing and expanding. Okay. So one, be coachable. Two, you need to be proactive. So the people who are your mentor have been there, done that. They are sharing their experiences in the hopes to alleviate and mitigate the risk and mistakes that you will have. It's okay to fail. That means you're taking action. That means you're moving forward and progressing to your goals or whatever that may be. But be open and be initiating to setting new goals and applying that guidance. Commitment. You need to be committed. You need to make sure that you are setting time, whether it is, in the morning or the evening, to be dedicated and consistently working towards your goals. Be respectful. Be curious. Be self-aware, be diligent, be grateful. Like, you need to honor what they're giving to you, because when I was, the mentorship is currently paused, but I am taking a few more people right now. I was interviewing people, and a lot of people like, okay, well, if I pay this money, so then when do I get the deal? When do you give me the deal for me to take it on? Like, they don't want to do the work. They don't you get out of their head. Well, my aunt said this, or my cousin said this. Listen, you guys. Stop taking advice from your friends and family that are not where you want to be. Okay. When I started this journey, not one friend or one family member knew what I was doing until they started seeing my social media and me posting things with Grant and me getting assets. I did not have one conversation. And it's funny because most people in this ecosystem start capital raising with friends and family. I never did that, ever. I am just now further in my journey where my corporate people are coming to me and they're investing with me. Okay. But stop sharing your plan and just do it. Let your success speak volumes.
I agree 1000%. So much of what you're saying is just resounding with me. But I think the first thing is only those that criticize you are those who are doing less than you. And I think you need to put that at the forefront. Like it's on all of my stuff. It's on my computer right here. If I could flip this screen down, I'd show you it's right here on my keyboard. Anybody that is criticizing you most often is doing less than you because they don't understand. Again, if we go back to the meaning, like understanding what you're doing, they don't understand. So of course it's not, they become disinterested or they become critics. Right. And they're critics because they don't understand. Right? Another thing about doing the work, so many people want the results, but then they just want to get from A to Z without the B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X. Right? There's 24 letters between A and Z. So there's a lot of time, investment, personal habits that you have to change. Like if your habits are not lined up and then aligned with what you want to do or where you want to go, those are distractions. That's things that are not going to be a return on your investment, right? All personal and professional development, you have to decide that you're going to make changes to have changes. Correct. Like, you know, Grant said that this weekend too. You want changes? Get up and make changes. Like if you keep doing the same thing you're doing in life, how do you expect to get different results? Right. A lot of people just focus and just continue to do the same thing. Now, habits are super important. If your habits are moving you towards a goal, you need to be consistent, persistent, determined, all of those things, you know. Another thing you said, it was in my mind to talk about was, what was it, Julie? It was something about what you had said and it clicked with me. I'll remember later, but basically that there's going to be obstacles, right? All the time. There's going to be distractions all the time.
Fail, is what I say. You're going to fail, but it means you're taking action, right?
Well, and I always say, are you really failing, Brooke, or are you actually just learning, right? Like, unless you're quitting, right? Exactly. Unless you're quitting, I feel like you're not failing, but you need clear goals. You need to know, like, where are you headed? Create a target for yourself. I don't even care any target. Like people walk around trying to hit goals, but they don't got targets. So like, how do you hit a target? How do you hit a goal without a target? You know? So talk a little bit about your targets and goals and how you achieve them and what it looks like for you and your family.
Beautiful. So this opening to this was based off a conversation I had with Tommy Jones. He told me, we went out to dinner, me and him, and he said, Brooke, it's December 31st, 2024. What are we celebrating that you accomplished this year?
Set a target. I love it.
Right? And awesome. So what I did is I updated my vision board because this is how I hit targets, y'all. I have notes, all of like things on my vision board. I have pictures. I have them on my calendar every day. So there's a reminder every day that goes off, you are an investor. You are an investor. Why is that important? It's because it reminds me not to buy things that do not give me a return, that I can't write off. That if I have to use a credit card and I can't pay cash for it, I don't want to do it. Because like Julie educates us on, if you can't pay it off at the end of the month, then and I would just not. So what I do, because what gets measured gets managed. So the first thing is I want my first flip with my partner, Tommy Jones, which that's already in process. I'm getting a wholesaler flip from somebody and one from a real estate person. There's that. And then to hit minimum of 10,000 of passive income by the end of the year. So that is a process that's coming right now. And I'm going to do a multifamily deal. And I want less than maybe 5 people leading on it. Okay. And so how I do these things is I don't buy frivolous things. I have daily reminders on alarms that go off constantly. and I make sure I don't spend money on things that are not propelling me to my goals. I say no to events that are not propelling me to my goals. And if I don't have a goal at this event, who do I want to talk to? How many people do I want to network? If it's the same people, and you guys, stop going to events where it's the same people all the time. I will spend time with people separately. I want to meet new people. So now I'm going to more RIAs. I'm going to real estate associations. I'm showing up by myself now to events so I can grow. I went to an auction and I met 3 people who were now working on wholesaling. I'm sharing my formula of what I'm looking for in flips. And so that's the bottom line. My goals were 10K passive income. I have my flip I'm doing with my mentor. I need a wholesale flip, a real estate flip, and I need a multifamily deal that I don't care how big it is, but I want less than 5 partners. So that is my goal. And that's why I am going like crazy, because here we are in August.
Yeah, half the year, right? Already. And people are like, wow, like we're actually entering, guys, into the 4th quarter next month.
So scary. It's
right.
Like,
I mean, end of September ends the 3rd quarter. So October, November, December. So we're literally 4 months away from the end of the year already, it's crazy to even think that, when I was doing our quarterly goals and the deadline was September 31st, I was like, oh shit, we're already like halfway through August and I've got a month left to do my 3rd quarter goals. Like
right.
it sneaks up on you. And if you're not in a position where you're constantly measuring, constantly looking, like I look at our goals weekly, I rewrite what I haven't hit yet. I think I do that so I know I want to hit them at some point in the future. Some of them I know I'm not going to hit this quarter, but I continually put them at the forefront. So prioritizing and setting targets and goals, like you said, having a clear vision of your goals, starting with the end in mind, which he did. It's December 31st. Let's work backwards, Brooke. Where do you want to be?
Right.
What do you want to be celebrating at the end of this year? Right. I think a lot of folks set goals forward. You have to, but I love to start with the end in mind and work like as if your future is what is present, and I never look at the past. What I've done, great, did it, gone, moving on. I feel like if you are constantly reflective on your past for your goals, you constantly are thinking about giving yourself pats on the back, but that's done. Like take the future and make it the present and act as if you're in the goal, right? So I'm like, I am a billionaire, and I'm working towards all these billionaire goals. And here's my billionaire goals. Now, am I a billionaire? No, hell no, but I'm going to be, right? Like I am set on the fact that, and by being a billionaire, it's not only the money. What can I do for other people when I'm a billionaire? What am I going to be able to offer? How many people will I be able to impact? How many other people will be able to enjoy the fruits of me reaching these goals? And so that's all part of my thinking as well. Again, very helped by Grant and Elena and the 10X rule, and just knowing like you can 10X your life and stop setting people. Almost everyone sets goals that are too low because they like to feel like they can give themselves a pat on the back and things are attainable. I'm like, the more unattainable, the better. Like, give me all the things that aren't attainable so that I can say, yeah, I haven't reached them yet. And I'm proud that I'm still working towards them, right? So make goals that aren't easy to reach. Failure to prioritizing is almost always guaranteed failure, because if you don't have goals or focus that's spread and that's localized, if it's spread too thin, and people will sometimes work on 6 things and people are like, well, you have to diversify. You have to make sure that you're all over the map. The issue with that is that you're not focused. And so you can diversify into different areas. Once you've achieved that target, then you can add in other streams. And Grant always says too, like, don't run 4 different businesses if you don't have business number 1 set. Once you get business number 1 running and set and it doesn't need you, you can start something different. It's always easier to just add to what you already know. But if you need to diversify into something else, do that once you've got the first thing set. So I always tell people, and Grant told me, keep the main thing, Julie, then move on to the next thing. So I tell everybody, my mentees, we have a coaching program called Wealth Masters. We help businesses expand and scale for legacy wealth. We do this with a very small group of people. It's a boutique style mastermind. And I tell them all, what's the main thing? Because sometimes they're like me. They want to do all the things, right? That's fine. But let's keep the main thing, so you can subsidize all these other ideas. If you can't subsidize the ideas, then it is a challenge, right? So keep the main thing. So prioritize. You talked about, making sure that you're prioritizing. What about time management? How do you manage that? I feel like that's one of my struggles, and a lot of folks on here, especially women, who are expected to do all the house things, the kids things, the laundry, the cooking. Like I always see you saying, "Hey, it's David's turn today." Like I'm out, like I'm busy. So like talk a little bit about that, because I think it's super cool to like be real on here and talk about like how hard that shit is.
It is super hard. And so time management, everybody likes to think that we have it all together, but we don't. But I will tell you, when it does come to my time, and my husband and kids will attest to this, I'm very militant. Okay. I will live most of the time on do not disturb unless I have an active project that requires communication consistently. I have everything through my calendar. And what we do is I will do a dinner. David will do the dinner. The kids will take turns doing the dinner. Fridays are delivery one. Okay. And I set boundaries as well with people. And so when a lot of people want your time, I have to ask for, okay, well, what is it that we're going to be discussing? Because in the beginning, I just wanted to help everybody while I was on the come up. And let's be real, we're always on the come up. Nobody ever really makes it. You're always trying to strive for that next level. Yeah. And so bottom line is alarms. I write down my day. Every day, everything gets written down on paper. Everything's on my calendar. I have alarms that are set every day. I live on do not disturb. And we start communicating early in the day. Amor, I'm going to be spent. It's your turn tonight to cook. Or, hey, babe, hey, kids, we're doing leftovers tonight. Or, hey, we're doing a breakfast dinner tonight. What are you guys looking at? Or sometimes it's like nobody is in agreement. Fine. I'm having this. Y'all are on your own. It's a free for all. Knock it out. Right. And we've done that. Where my husband's like, well, I want tacos, so I'm going to order tacos. And I'm a hippie. I'm very healthy and anal with my food. And so I'm like, fine, well, I'm just going to have my chicken with some pickles and my almond flour crackers. And that's it. And the kids are freaking making chicken and fries and mac and cheese and pasta and brownie or whatever the hell. But you also need to delegate. So when it comes to time management, I also have my kids help me. So Michaela, who is my
I saw that. Sorry. Yeah. I love that, because you're also showing them what it takes. Yes. Love it. Yes. Yeah. And you know me, I'm very much about that. So.
Yes. And that's why my kids love your kids and our families connect, because everybody has an active part. My husband has an active part in the flipping, even in multifamily. He was one of my hunters, right? And my daughter, she helps a lot with social media and content. She helps with my mailers. Will be at our book project, Real Women in Real Estate, that is launching. She has social media director and address, and she's gonna look all to do. And she goes and hunts houses with me. And then she also scans all the receipts, all of this. Hey, mom, I have a pitch deck. Here's my rough draft. Please organize this, consolidate it. I'll wrap it up, add this. Mom, this is the message I want to get. And she gets paid for all of this. And she's getting entrepreneur experience because she has expressed that she wants to be in this field. And so delegate, defer, set boundaries, alarms. I love scratching things off, but some days are better than others, right? Because life happens.
For sure. But having that mentality and those hints and tips and tricks for folks on here, I think is amazing. All those things is so great. So
I have schedule your time too. I literally have to schedule that I'm going for a walk.
Yeah.
Or I'm quiet.
Even if it's on your lunch break, be like 30 minutes. I'm taking my phone on do not disturb. I'm putting music on. I'm clearing my head, and I'm taking a 30-minute walk. And it doesn't have to be all this huge exercise that you got. Like, no, just put it in the calendar. And I have to do that more too. I was really good, and then I started traveling, and now I'm like, I need to get back. So Brooke, today I'm going to make a promise for myself this week. I'm going to be more intentional about that.
And I'm going to leave one more remark, because I forgot one of my other mentors is Barbara Corcoran. So Barbara Corcoran, I said her name wrong. Sorry, Barbara. She says that every quarter she sets out a week of vacation, regardless if it's just her at home, whether she's traveling or not. She goes, if you decide you want to do once a week, she goes, every quarter I block out 7 days. I am guaranteed a 7-day vacation every quarter. And it doesn't matter if I'm going to Central Park, because she lives in New York, or if I'm actually traveling to the Hamptons. She goes, I love that. Make space for yourself. And she goes, and if you don't want that much time then maybe every 2 weeks, set one day, block it out for yourself.
Right. I love that. I think I unconsciously do that. So now I'm going to be consciously doing that.
Yes.
Because I'm a traveler, as you know.
And then
So
people will know that's where I want to be. I want to be like a
yes.
digital nomad.
Yes, that's basically dream come true, right? So
Yes.
we have a lot of freedom, which is exactly the why behind my money making is the freedom and the ability to do all these things with the kids and travel and, you know, all the goals we have and have met and still more that are coming. But I'm going to be more intentional about blocking them quarterly because sometimes I feel like we take the whole summer or, you know what I mean? But like, I think we need to do more intentional blocks, or maybe I need to do less because maybe Barbara's going to say to me, "You're doing too much vacationing, Julie Roy." So,
no, she's so cool.
She's awesome.
I'll
Yeah.
forward her information to you because I learned a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I'd love that. So a couple things I have on here. I wanted to ask you about more specifically. So fear of failure. So people get like analysis paralysis, and we don't talk about that a lot, right? But what do you think about that? How do you stay away from over analyzing, you know, everything that you're doing? Because you have, like me, we have a bench, we have an accountant, a lawyer, they all have opinions, right? Like even analyzing a business, I feel like I'm a very quick decision maker. If it takes too long, I'm almost out. Like I feel like, okay, I'm over that already. How do you deal with analysis paralysis? What are some of the tools and tips you use? Anything that the listeners can do here to sort of get out of that? I find a lot of folks get into that analysis paralysis and stay kind of stagnant because of it.
So
yeah.
One, this is going to be a difficult question for me to provide tips because I do not get into analysis paralysis. That's actually a pet peeve of mine when people do that. I have faith in myself to execute. I never have a plan B. When I want something, I'm all in because it comes from a place of being fed up. Apparently, that's what it is. I think a lot of people, you need to be fed up with your situation, one. Two, you need to know enough to be dangerous, and then you need to trust yourself the rest of the way. So when I first started investing, my first investment was with Grant Cardone. And because I could put in $5,000 or $10,000.
Right.
I didn't have to put in all of my 401k or my savings. So it was a way for me to dabble and tippy toe in it. And then I was able to understand this is what I like, this is what I don't like, and pivot from that when I had my own investors, right? So I think it comes from one, a place of being fed up with your current situation, okay? Two, learn enough to be dangerous on how it benefits and how it pertains to you. So for example, when it comes to investors, we want to know, okay, what's in it for me? What's the minimum I have to put in? I want to know who is the team and when do I get my money back? It's really not that complicated. If I trust the team, and I know if I put in 50K, I'm getting $200 every month in cash flow. I'm going to double my money in 5 years, which means I'm going to get my original 50K plus an extra 50K, and I'm getting paid $200 to wait. And I trust Julie Roy, or I trust the Grant Cardones of the world. That's all I need to know. That's it, right? Because I'm here to make money, and scared money doesn't make money. And y'all, this even comes to changing your job careers. So being a corporate businessman for over 22 years, where I used to run the West Coast, I used to have a team. You guys have to just know enough to be dangerous and trust the source. Know, okay, this is what's in it for me, and reiterate that. So after I have a conversation with my directors or VPs, I would say, okay, to follow up on today's conversation, this is my understanding. This. And your expectation is to have this execute delivered by this date. Are we on the same page? Excellent. When I get that confirmation in writing and I trust the source, I'm all in. That's all I need. Because y'all, things are going to happen. You need to be flexible. You need to give yourself grace. You need to give other people grace, and you need to be able to pivot. Life is not perfect. Okay. So give yourself grace and know, yeah, you may lose money. Big deal. It happens, but you're going to go make money more.
Money flows.
Yeah.
Currency.
Yes. And stop with all of this. Oh, I can't make money.
Yeah.
No, all the wealthy people invest.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just
wealthy people don't save. I think that's the big thing that we don't understand. Even our schools aren't, teaching that. We're not brought up in the environment. Right.
It's not your fault. You're taught in school everything that leads you to work for somebody else. So the government gets a higher cut of your money via taxes. Okay. So you're taught, go to college, go work for somebody else. Unless it's a trade that you can later convert to a business. I see college, and I went to college. To me, it was a waste of time, because then, like, I just can't even buying a house. I'm bitter about buying a house. Okay. All of these government funded programs are getting taxed out. It's not helping us become wealthy. It's keeping us small. It's keeping our money small. And we weren't put here to be small or mediocre. You all need to be here to travel the world and give back to communities that matter, fund the political parties that represent you and your family. And next time there's a national event, like what happened to Puerto Rico a while back, when the government is sitting on their hands, I want to cut a check and go down there to our family and friends and say, hey man, here's 50 grand. Let's get some taco trucks. Let's get some generators, and let's make this happen. You're here to make an impact. It's not just about the money. To make money anywhere.
Truth, all of it. Yes, I agree with every part of it. I don't really have anything to add. You kind of went all through it. The only thing I think we have to talk about in the fear of failure, the analysis process that we didn't discuss, is like, how do you become confident? How did you get rid of self-doubt? How did you get rid of negative self-talk? How do you get out of the criticism of having that mental blockage to success? Because I think that's important to mention. So action, how did you pull the trigger to action? So some of these listeners on here, because I know them, are like really conservative and they're very cautious. So how do you become conservative and cautious, yet excited and a little bit risk-taking? Like, what would you suggest they do to start to trust themselves, to become more confident, or what can they do to increase their confidence? It just in general. I mean, it's not just in investing, but I do know people are less confident about investing. So even Grant mentioned this weekend, like women own only 33% or something of the world's real estate. And he's like, it's getting better. But like 50 years ago, guys, we weren't even able to have a credit card. So I mean, like, let's just put it into position in terms of where we are and how many women don't understand money, and women live 6 years longer than men. And the chances are, he said 88% of women will die single and 88% of men will die married or something like that. So if you think about it, you actually need to know this stuff. Like, you need to understand finances. You need to understand investing. And he said 13 trillion. I think that's right. Or 9 trillion.
Yeah, it's around 13 trillion.
Will be exchanged, right? And most of it is going to females or daughters of folks. And so really important to become comfortable. So what are things people can do to increase confidence? I have a couple ideas, but I want to hear from you.
Educate yourself, learn. I do want to recommend, we should all be, another mentor of mine is Rachel Rogers. We should all be millionaires. It's a phenomenal book. You can also read it on Audible. Okay. So first and foremost, educate yourself, attend events locally where there's other female investors. So there is Invest Her. They have multiple chapters. You have Julie Roy here. You have myself. We share content on investing. Vina Jetty shares content on investing. Educate yourself and then show up to a lot of these local events. And if you don't know where to go, you can go to meetup.com, Eventbrite, depending on where you're located. And when you start connecting with people who have been doing it and are executing, your confidence will soar. And then that first investment or first step you take doesn't have to be a huge thing. You can invest $100, $1,000, whatever that might be. For example, WeFunder. I was an investor in Koya, Koia, the plant protein based, the shakes, when they were opening it up before they closed it, for investors. And you're able to invest as little as $100. So
is this right, Brooke? WeFunder.com?
WeFunder.com, correct.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah,
great.
So that's for startup. So educate, show up to the events, and surround yourself with people that are doing it, and you will gain confidence to take action.
I love it. Okay, we're getting to the top of the hour. What can you give the audience that you absolutely can't leave here without? So we're looking for tips on wealth, health, or happiness. We always end our podcast with 3 tips on wealth, health, and happiness. anything that, I mean, obviously you've given us a million tips in this podcast, but if you could leave them with like 3 things that you think would change their life moving forward. And I know it's on the spot. So if you don't have them right away, we can wait. But so let's start with wealth. What would you say was a game-changing tip from you on wealth?
Stop keeping up with the Joneses. Okay.
Love that.
Right.
Yes.
Stop trying to impress people that don't even care about you. Because when I was in corporate, I thought success was the beautiful house, my nice car, my $3,000 Louis Vuitton. And I realized that I was one pink slip away from being broke. So stop.
Awesome. I love that. Health. I know you are a health nut and you're
super,
I love all the things you're doing for your health. So you could talk about this. We could go on a whole nother
podcast about this.
So yeah.
Y'all, when you have your health, you have your wealth. Okay. I know this gets thrown around a lot. You need to be aware of what you're putting in your body, because when you're not mentally capable, you can't lead and provide service to other people. So the biggest tip I would give you guys, please, this is easy, read nutrition labels. Read what you're putting in your body, because when you look at marketing, oh, this is healthy, this is organic. Y'all, Oreos are organic, okay? When you look at organic creamers for your coffee, look at what the back of it. It says canola oil. A lot of the first ingredients is canola oil. What I will use, I love almond malt. 3 ingredients. It's almonds, water, and Himalayan pink salt. And keep in mind, in the ingredient list, whatever is the first few ingredients is what it has the most of. Read the ingredients, okay? If you can't pronounce it, you shouldn't be putting it in your body.
Yeah, and the problem is, Brooke, I've really noticed, we were in Europe, for the month, and I felt so good. I wasn't ever tired. I had no bloating. I felt incredible. I lived in Europe before, felt the same. And I was like, there's definitely stuff. Well, you have to imagine the ingredient label on our Chobani yogurt even is like, you can see, I don't know, all, whatever. And I think this is pretty healthy. Like, I don't know, there's all this, right? But then, when I went, there was no sugar in theirs. There was no fruit pectin in theirs. There was no locust bean gum. There was no guar gum. I don't even know what those things are. In Italy, it was literally like cultured non-fat milk, peaches, and like the live active probiotic cultures. So like, and I was like, man, there's like everything tasted really good though, but it wasn't sugary. Do you know what I'm saying? And this is like my protein source here, so like, because I'm vegetarian, there's a lot of things, right? So reading, I'm more now trying to even read for our family what we're buying. I've always kind of, but not like, I'm getting a little bit more obsessed, I think, with it. But so I think that's great. That's a really easy tip that we can start with, and everyone can do that. Money, no money, you can just read nutrition labels. And yes, it is much more expensive to buy healthy food in the US, and that's because that's a whole thing behind it.
You know what? I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
So because people tell that to me all the time, because I shop at Trader Joe's, which is actually really cost effective, and Whole Foods and all the things. Listen, you guys, you can either spend an extra couple dollars on some organic stuff or some non-processed stuff, or you could spend hundreds of dollars on popping pills and giving money to the big pharma companies. So,
or going to the hospital, or having diseases that cut your life, right? All the things.
Play offense, not defense, you guys. Stop waiting till you have a problem and then just popping a pill that the side effects are worse than the problem you had to start with. Stop.
I got to get better at this, because my food, what I eat is bad.
I know. And I was like, man, if I even look at what Julie eats, my ass jiggles for a week.
Yeah. And I'm serious. Like, I live off ice cream and carrageenan and all the things that come in ice cream here. In Italy, of course, I lived off gelato, but it was much more healthy. So anyways,
girls, guys, get Kerrygold. So for the longest time, Kerrygold comes from Ireland, and do meat grass-fed, grass-finished. So this changed my life. I thought after I had Marissa, my 12-year-old, that I was lactose intolerant. No, it's all the crap that our government allowed to be put in this. When I got Kerrygold, which comes from Ireland, from grass-fed cows.
I have the butter
and the cheese. Girl, I can eat a gallon. I can eat all, and they sell it at Costco.
I haven't tried the cheese.
And it doesn't faze me.
I'm gonna get that next.
So
okay, cool.
It's helpful.
Awesome. Health, wealth, happiness. Brooke, how do you keep happy when shit's maybe not going your way, or how do you keep happy when you're challenged by your growth. You've gone through a huge growth cycle this year. I mean, very emotional growth cycle. So left your corporate job, moved your family, like a lot of really big life events. How do you keep your soul happy? How do you continue to look for the greatness in your days?
Being grateful.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be grateful because we are wired as humans to look at the negative side way back from our caveman days, right? Where we were always afraid of everything. And every night, because I do pray every night and I bless my husband and my kids I'm not overly religious, but I am very spiritual and I do like the Buddhist philosophy. I lead with being grateful. I am healthy. I have phenomenal friends. I am surrounded by love. I have a wonderful husband, healthy children. I am doing very well for myself, financially. Do I have everything that I want? No, but I have what I need.
Not yet.
Not yet, but I will get there. And being grateful and having people like you in my life, in my community, my husband and my kids makes me grateful every day, because some of the poorest countries are happiest because they're surrounded by love. Have love and be grateful.
Pura vida. So if you look at Costa Rica, they're one of the blue zone countries. I don't know if you've heard about this, but the healthiest people live in Costa Rica because they're super grateful for their environment, the people around them. If you have a minute to read about blue zone countries, you probably know about it, Brooke, but the audience here in general, it's a whole way of living, right? It's not just one thing you do. It's the pura vida, meaning like your entire life is pure and why. And so it's super cool. But I think as I'm getting older and entering into this new decade of 50, I've really stopped to think about, what does that look like for us? What does that look like for me? I'm grateful every day. Like, I put out gratefulness into my world every day. I talk about it. I'm so thankful to the universe for providing me with health, with wealth, with happiness. Every morning I get up and I say, thank you so much for my health, wealth, and happiness. Thank you so much for the health, wealth, and happiness of my entire family, all of our friends, and anybody I meet along the way. So I'm putting it to everyone, not just, I'm grateful for us, but I want that to be universal. I want people that I meet along the way, that I touch in some way, to have that same health, wealth, and happiness transferred to them. So I just hope that that's working.
Yes. And
so,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I feel having a spiritual, I don't care who you pray to.
Yes, me too. I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual.
Power. I have faith.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is you need to have faith in a higher power, no matter what that looks like, that God puts you here. God comes in all shapes and forms, y'all, that He puts you here for a greater purpose, and to have faith and be grateful and trust that if something closes and doesn't work for you the way you want it to, it means there's another opportunity coming. Just trust the process.
So rejection is protection.
Yes, I love this. I think we were on an Alex Lovely, A Course in Miracle call. Yeah. We were talking about this. Excellent.
So I thought this
to the people in the back.
Right. Rejection is protection. We often think rejection is failure, but I've literally said, like, if it doesn't work out, it's not meant for me, and I move on. And I never used to do that. I used to be like trying to make this square peg fit in this round hole. And now I'm like, if it doesn't happen, or there's reasons why it's not in alignment, it's not in alignment. It's not my energy. It's not meant for me. It's okay. And I just move on. Keeping yourself positive and undistracted and unfocused on things that aren't for you also bring more abundance, right? So I'm constantly like, I feel like those whack-a-moles, like I'm whack-a-moling all the like anything that comes my way that's not meant for me, it's like it gets whacked out of the way. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going to trust then that that's not for me, right? And so I 1000% agree. Rejection is protection. And just trust that as well. I feel like so I'm going to just say this before we wrap up, but I did a lot of NLP work and I'm doing more, which is like neuro-linguistics programming. I have a couple of great girls, if you guys want, they've been on the podcast, listen to them. They work on unblocking you, right? They work on unblocking things that even in our subconscious, we don't know are blocking us from growth and from betterness. And one of the things that is really big is that we have to understand that, like, some of this stuff in life isn't for us, and it's okay, because we are a society that wants and wants everything, it doesn't mean we are deserving of and or that it's the best thing for us, okay, at the time. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It just might not be the right time right now for whatever reason it is, right? And when we force stuff, it almost always fails. Like you'll see that it, for some reason, either you're not ready to accept that, that the universe isn't ready for you to have it for some reason, but it's often because we're not ready to absorb it or accept it. And so unblocking a lot of the things in our way can help us. But going through that sort of process has really opened my eyes, like I said, this next decade. And it is a bit woo-woo and I get it, but it's also not. Like there's a real solid understanding of like, I've gone through trauma. Like I have, I've lived through divorce. I've lived through, immigrants, like parents working 3 jobs, my dad not really being in our life for a lot of the early parts, like a lot of things that, so, when things don't work, where does my mind go? Okay. Abandonment. There's reasons for rejection. So why does it go there? Well, because at some point in my life, in my past, as a child, whatever, something gave me this survival mode that was like, oh, you're not good enough. That's why you can't get this. So if you're not unblocking those things, you're not going to get there because all that work is got to be done subconsciously and internally because we block out a lot of what doesn't serve us. So if you don't unblock what doesn't serve you, you're continually going to be blocked by it, whether you think you are or not. And so that was a huge wake up for me in this sort of next decade to think about, and also how I'm delivering it to my children unconsciously. So that is really important for us to be aware of. And so I see your wheels are turning, Brooke, but what do you think? And like, I don't want to talk like a huge episode about it, but we've talked a couple times now about NLP and just unblocking, but yeah.
And see, and I would be open to that. My situation is I am very quick to cut people off. Because I've lost a lot of people in my life from one reason or another. And so my sister always says, God, it's hard on me is what she says. And I have a hard time forgiving. That's a work in progress for me, for the two most, from my parents essentially. Yeah. But bottom line, I don't care who you are. I don't believe that blood is thicker than water. And I feel that if you're more of an anchor than you are a buoy, you bring more stress in my life. Right. I'll give you a free pass once. What is that? First time, shame on me. Second time, shame on you.
Shame on you.
I'm quick to cut people off.
And I think the reason for that is because you've been hurt. So like we can go into this whole thing, but like the unblocking of what, and that's okay. The problem is that it's good and bad. So it's good because it protects you. And that's why you do it, because you're like, I'm not going down that road. No one's hurting me ever again. Like we are done with that. Right. Because we've already done it. Right. And that's how I feel. I'm like, oh, hell no, you're not going to be responsible for my life. Like you're not going to do that to me. I have full control here. Right. But it does affect how I react to situations sometimes. And I have had to really learn to not like snap at situations and be like, you know what, that's about them. This isn't about me. Like if what I'm doing is when people talk about me negatively, which I don't know, like I hope I don't do anything to harm anyone. If I do, please, I would rather you talk to me about it personally. Right. But if people are discussing me negatively or in a bad limelight or whatever it is, and I find out through other people or whatever, I feel like, dude, this is not a reflection of me. It's a reflection of you, because what people think of me really should be none of my business. And that's what I'm like now living off of. But it's taken me a long while I used to care about what everyone thought of me and how I did things. And now I'm like, you know what? I'm not caring anymore because it doesn't serve me. Right. So if there's a problem you have with me, just come talk to me. Like, let's just have a courageous conversation and move on. I feel like the other way just creates a road for me that I can't go down. Right. So anyways, there's a lot of, I think, things that block us from success. One of them being ourselves. And, we don't talk a lot about that, but I've talked about it now in 2 or 3 episodes. So if you want to go back, you can check out glamandgrind.com. We're on YouTube, Apple, all the things. But I do think that there has to be some internal work to be done to move you. Like Brooke said, you can have all the mentors, you can be a good mentee, but unless you are ready to accept what you need to do, action, etc., unblocking, you won't get to your full potential because something will be blocking you, whether that's yourself or your thoughts or, why you're not taking action, why you're still feeling self-doubt about what you can do. There's something there that needs to just be unblocked. So I want to thank everyone here today for listening. And I especially want to thank Brooke, who, of course, I love. And I'm so honored that she came on our show today. Just such good raw conversation. And as y'all know, we never edit anything out of our shows. We just put a beginning and end, whatever you call that. I don't even know. I'm so like not to make it fancy packaged, for YouTube or whatever. But we don't change any of the content. I feel like we in society have so much unreal crap around us, and so much, like, we can test another episode. We can talk about what Instagram life looks like versus real life. And I feel like being raw and real is the only way to help people. So thank you, Brooke, for always being raw and real, even with me. I appreciate you more than you know. Yes. And I just love that about you. And I feel like it's definitely helped me in my own life. Our conversations we've had some hours long
like
conversations, a whole day once, I think. But I feel like get yourself a good circle, get yourself right and tight, and get people that'll tell you the truth and be honest with you, because that other shit doesn't really matter. All those people that talk about you, but not to you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Easy distraction to remove. But again, thank you so much for all being on here. Thanks, Brooke. So grateful. And you can catch us on Glam and Grind. But before we leave, Brooke, how do they get a hold of you if they want to learn more about investments? We didn't even talk. Brooke is doing a whole flipping program right now where she takes a house, flips it. You can invest with her. I just invested with her last week. We can also, do you have a website, Brooke, or contact information? Okay.
I do need to update my website, but I will give you my website. And if you do have a question, there is a contact button that comes up. It goes straight to my email. It's Brooke, BROOKE, C Pinero, PINERO.com.
So let me put it up here, Brooke. I want you to check it. So BrookeCPinero.com.
Correct. So BROOKECPINERO.com.
Okay. And there they have your contact information. So
I have my social media channels, everything.
I was going to say your socials.
It, but it has all of that on there.
Awesome. Well, I just want to make sure they can find you, because I think a lot of our listeners will be intrigued to know what you're doing with the flips and any investment opportunities that you have. Like I said, I am investing with Brooke. We just kind of went through this last week, but met with Tommy Jones, which is her mentor, who has been flipping for 30 years, has a really good, solid knowledge of the ARV, the flip out, the investment. The payout is anywhere between, let's call it 15 to 20% on the investment to the investor. What I love about it, lots of people are coming to me and saying, hey, Julie, what opportunities do you have that are liquid? Well, it's not fully liquid, but it's like a 6-month stint rather than like 5 years. So a lot of opportunities for some different things here that you can do with Brooke. And I want to make sure that y'all know she's more than just a pretty face and all these awesome things that she talked about today. She's actually avidly, running these deals and hustling. And if you get on her social, you'll see this stuff she's doing. It's pretty incredible.
Especially Instagram. Instagram's probably my favorite, but yes.
Yeah. And you post your journey with the flips. And I think that's just a great way of learning and becoming more confident and feeling good about, giving you money to do those investments with you as well. So I just didn't want to leave that out, because I think it's really important that, you're here and you're helping us, and I would like to give back. So making sure that you hop on Brooke's channels, check out what she's doing, and just really, she's an awesome human. And the most important thing to me is, are you a good human? And so that we could check that box off with Brooke, and then all the other stuff she's doing is just in addition to. So again, thank you so much. I leave Brooke's contact info here, or at least where you can get a hold of her. Make sure you check out her Instagram, social. And if you all need anything else, we can be found at glamandgrind.com. And of course, if you're interested in Wealth Masters or anything like that, you can find me at thejulieroy.com and Rachel at all of the socials that she has, as well as her Kids Discovery, all the things she's doing with the schools and her mentorship program for school leaders and team members. So again, thank you so much. Thank you to our sponsors. And thank you so much, Brooke, for coming on here today. We love you. And I'll see you soon.
Besos y brazos.
Bye, Bella.
Bye, love.